Hello everybody, and thank you for joining us. I'm going to put my video off to reduce the bandwidth. I'm really looking forward to today's session, and Suchith is going to be talking to us and has a fascinating presentation to put to us, and we get the opportunity to talk about open principles, and I can't think of a better way of spending some time today, despite the busyness generally of our lives at this point in the year. What I'd like to do first of all perhaps is just remind people about the OpenEd SIG and where and what we are. So ALT have kindly provided us with a community space. I'm going to pop this into the chat. So this is where you will find the OpenEd SIG. And you'll find, as it's a community space, there are occasional blog posts going up there to discuss the whole matter of open. And I'm just going to switch your mic off a little bit, Suchith, for a second. And you'll also see there's a community space where people can join the conversation, continue the conversation. And you'll see some information about our mission. Essentially what we try to do is to connect all things open and to ensure that people really understand the open education agenda. And I'm excited about today's webinar because it really sets the tone for the coming year, I think. So that's who we are and where we are. Anybody can be a member of the OpenEd SIG. You don't have to be an ALT member, and there are details on that homepage about how to join us. And there's a form you can fill in order to join the OpenEd Special Interest Group. I'm delighted that we had a great get-together meeting at the ALT conference recently, and we've got 2 new members on board in the committee, and I'm sure that will really reinvigorate the team. So it's great to have that. We've got a very lively team on board, so we're very active in social media. That all-important hashtag to look out for, especially if you're on Twitter, but also on G+ or on other networks, is OpenEdSig. And if you want to know who we are and where we are and what we're doing, then please take a look at that, and we can help join the dots. Tucker, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'll just quickly remind people a little bit about the interface that we have here. So if you need to check your audio settings, come up to the top left under Tools and click Tools, Audio Setup Wizard, and just run that wizard to make sure that you can hear everything, and join in if you want to speak to us as well in the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Also on the left-hand side, although you can move these boxes, you'll see a chat box. You can type directly into that chat box, send a message directly to the moderators or to the full room, and just press enter to send that message in. If you have any questions during the presentation, if you just preface your message with the Q, then I should be able to come back and return to your question after the presentation. You'll also see in the participants box 4 sets of boxes. Now these are easy ways of quickly communicating through emojis, your approval, or your suggestions. So do use those. We will keep an eye on them. You've also got a way of responding yes or no, should we ask for information from the room as well, and of raising your hand if you have a question so that we can deal with your question. Okay, so that's pretty much the housekeeping over. I'm going to give Suchith his microphone back, and I'm very pleased to introduce you to Suchith Anand. You possibly know him already, and I had the pleasure of meeting him last night when we were doing the check, and everything was looking really good. So Suchith, I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much for joining us today. Suchith, can I just ask you to press the talk button?
Hello everybody, thanks Teresa. Hope you can hear me properly now. I'm actually connecting from a wireless connection, so I might, switch off the video now to make sure the bandwidth is okay. Yes. So thank you again for this great opportunity, and it's a great pleasure for me to share my experiences with you all today. I have been always inspired by the open education community, and it is so I hope to connect with you today and share our ideas on this whole open principles in education and the things we have been doing in Geo for All. So starting, I would like to start out by giving you some background. Actually, when I got this webinar invitation from Teresa a few weeks back, I started preparing, what I want to say for this presentation. It also helped me reflect on this whole Geo for All journey. And I'm not a native English speaker. I'm originally from India, and I was looking for a word in English to encapsulate the journey, and I found this word serendipity, and it was exactly what I was looking for. This word. And first time I was learning about this word, and serendipity means it's like an unsought or unintended or unexpected, but fortunate discovery or learning experiences that happens by accident. And it's also a combination of events which are not individually beneficial, but occurring together produces a good and wonderful outcome. And when I look back at my Geo for All journey, this is exactly what happened. It was not planned or anything. We had nothing, but it is just by this combination of a lot of things happening together. It just made these things happen. And hopefully, when I go through the slides, you'll get a feeling of how we all started. But first and foremost, I had to thank all of my colleagues globally, who all have been really helping this make possible. And they are the key people who help this all possible. And I've had to thank the whole Geo for All community. And in simple terms, the area of my research is on computer-based mapping, or what is known as the GIS, or Geographic Information Systems. And you must all have, in some way or form, must have all, used these mapping tools in your mobile phones. You're finding nearest places, so it's now very ubiquitous. But I first came across GIS again by pure luck. Around 20 years back, I was a student in civil engineering in India at that time, and one day I came across an article in my college library on this, this thing of using geographic information system, and which was being used by town planners. So that article was mostly on how town planners were using this new technology, and that was the first time I heard about this amazing technology called GIS. And I still remember the struggles I went through to get access to GIS. In fact, I wanted to do my pioneer project using GIS, but unfortunately that time I couldn't. I just couldn't get access to it. So there was a lot of struggles and a lot of setbacks initially, but I was very lucky. As by God's grace, later I got really amazing opportunities later to learn GIS. I got scholarships from kind universities, and a lot of kind people helped me along the way. So it was a really lot of help from a lot of people that helped me learn this. So hence, when I now got this opportunity to learn this, I was very keen that I do something back. I need to make sure there's a lot of people who don't have access. I need to do something back, and that was how the whole Geo for All started. So through this webinar, I want to share why it's important we protect open principles in education and the vision of what we have for the future on open geospatial science. I will also share some experiences from Geo for All initiative on the importance of having open principles for empowering communities worldwide. Central to Geo for All mission is the belief that knowledge is a public good, and open principles in education will provide great opportunities for everyone. Though the members of our network are all from very different backgrounds, and we all come together to seek to eliminate the digital divide and to empower all as full citizens and contribute to build up open knowledge for the benefit of the whole society. So why is openness important? Okay, so just exactly 1 year back, the United Nations launched this ambitious initiative called Sustainable Development Goals 2030. I'm sure all of you have heard about it. And these SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, are a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and to ensure all people enjoy peace and prosperity. The Sustainable Development Goals work in the spirit of partnership and pragmatism to make sure the right choices are made now to improve life in a sustainable way for future generations. The SDGs are an inclusive agenda. They tackle the root causes of poverty and unite us together to make a positive change to both people and our planet. Service for the benefit and betterment of humanity is a key fundamental principle of Geo for All, and we want to contribute and focus our efforts for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And for this, openness is fundamental for all of these 17 goals if you look into it. And I will give you one example. I can go through each of these and give you lots of examples of each on each of these goals, how openness will help us accelerate this achieving these goals. So fundamentally, Geo for All was started to ensure to make geospatial education and opportunities are accessible to all. Because traditionally, even 10 years back, it was highly expensive proprietary tools, and not many students and even educators worldwide could access geospatial courses or start new courses. And now it's dramatically changing. Now it's I can see even through our networks we have lots of new MOOC programs. We have a lot of our colleagues are starting new courses in countries in Africa, Asia, USA, everywhere. Our aim is to accelerate this rapidly and make sure lots and lots of students get these opportunities to learn these amazing technology. And fundamentally, so people ask you, what is Geo for All? And I'll tell them, look, it's education plus empowerment. That's what we are about. So we want to make sure the students are fully empowered. What's the point of teaching them GIS and then taking away the tools after they learn and then forcing them to buy high-cost proprietary licenses? That's why we want to make sure they are fully empowered. They have the tools for them to start their own companies or learn GIS or all these. So openness is fundamental to us, and we are now working on this vision 2030 on open geospatial science. And I will share also some of the ideas in this presentation on what we want in the future as well. So in Geo for All, we have a holistic approach on education, and I want to highlight the many dimensions of open. The open source software, the open data, open standards, open access to research publication, open education resources. And fundamentally, we are fully based on open principles, which encompasses all this. So this all coming together of all this is kind of like the magic of what makes openness, all these possibilities happen. So I want to give you some examples, and one of our colleagues, Professor Silvana Comboin, she's a professor in University of Paraná, Federal University of Paraná in Brazil, and in support of the United Nations Spatial Development Goals, she and her colleagues, all the colleagues in the Open Source Geospatial Technologies ICA Commission, put together some work to see, to show some of the broad range of activities that is happening, using openness in geospatial. And on the top right, there's an example from our colleagues at the University of Political of Milano in Italy, Professor Maria Brovelli, and she and her team has been doing amazing work on her lab has been doing amazing work on humanitarian OpenStreetMaps. And this is very important. Just last year in April, as some of you might remember, there was terrible earthquakes in Nepal, and again, our community, our Geo for All community came together at that time to provide these, develop these what is known as humanitarian mapathons for relief, disaster relief. And this particular work that Maria Brovelli and colleagues did was actually teaching in the next generation. So they did a record mapathon with more than 200 10-year-old children in March 2016. So this actually, making sure our future generations, they start being contributors and they start learning all these technologies, and they are key part of all this. And Professor Maria Brovelli, she has been doing so much amazing work on this, and I will recommend you to visit her lab website as well, so you can see a lot of work she's doing. On the top right, again, another example is from the University of Pretoria in South Africa. They again, as you might know, in most of the developing countries, one of the biggest problems is many of the citizens, they don't have access to good quality basic things like even access to safe drinking water, all those kind of basic things. And the work that colleagues in Pretoria are doing, actually, they have been trying to map this. Mapping is fundamental to developments, and especially in slums, and they all need to make sure they have developments happening. We need to make sure all the infrastructure developments are happening, and the work the colleagues in South Africa are doing are on the first step of that. And there is another example from Brazil that again Silvana has been doing, and again there is looking at how we can use mapping as to highlight the inequalities in the society, and especially in her area, that is in Curitiba in Brazil. So she has been working on that. And another example from a education example is colleagues in Uruguay, which I will come through later. They have an initiative called Geospatial Batowi. Again, a very important initiative of how we can ensure quality education resources are available for everyone. And Geospatial Batowi is a good example of a national level initiative, with very little resources, but getting some good committed people. What we can do to change, and provide opportunities for the future. And in the essence, I really like the figure that Silvana put. It's about the whole open philosophies coming together: the open source software, data, education, and standards. So I would like to now give you another example of, there are I told you a lot of things, but one example from open data. And this is an example from an initiative called GODAN, which I am very much involved in. It is the Global Open Data for Agriculture and Nutrition. And if you look at it, more than 800 million people worldwide struggle from hunger worldwide. This is a fact. And we have the knowledge, the tools, and the data to lower this figure to zero. But this can only happen if everyone has equal access to data. Access to research and data is critical for feeding the world's hungry. GODAN, or Global Open Data for Agriculture and Nutrition, was formed to support and encourage the proactive sharing of open data to make information about agriculture and nutrition available, accessible, and usable for unrestricted use worldwide, to deal with the urgent challenge of ensuring world food security. GODAN focuses on building high-level policy and public and private institutional support for open data. The initiative encourages collaboration and cooperation among existing agriculture and open data activities, and brings together stakeholders to solve the long-standing global problems in food and nutritional security. And we believe location is very relevant for this activity, and geospatial science has a major role to play in securing both food and nutritional security in agriculture systems, particularly to address the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 2, which is to end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. So there is a key kind of, this is one good example of how just one open data in agriculture can dramatically change lot of, and give real benefit to a lot of people globally. So that's just one example. And for those of you who are new to, for example, the open source software, I know a lot of you are involved in open education resources. I want to highlight one example from the open source software as well. So this is just to highlight, why it's important to, in terms of, in terms of both research and also for, transparency of increasing transparency and increasing quality of research. And this example I found from NASA. NASA is, as you all know, is one of the world's biggest research organizations. They run one of the most mission critical systems on the planet. And the reason why they say their key motivation to distribute software for using open source fully for open source is to increase peer review, and to increase the software quality. And as some of you already know, if you are working in academia, the reason why, we submit for peer review journals is, that's very important. So if you want for increased quality, peer review is fundamental. So, that's why it's, it also increases quality. So, it's very fundamental. People understand this aspect as well. So why is geo-education important? Okay, so this is fundamentally where I come from. Okay, in spite of all these wonderful technological developments, it is a sad fact that majority of the world's poorest living in urban areas do not still have access to basic facilities. And I mean things like clean water, proper sanitation and hygiene facilities, good quality education opportunities, etc. And I believe GIS is a fundamental technology in infrastructure development, and high-cost proprietary GIS is unaffordable to governments, town planners, and local authorities in developing and low-income countries. In order to achieve United Nations goals of Sustainable Development Goals 2030, it is essential to provide free and open-source GIS tools to universities, government organizations in developing countries for helping them achieve these targets. With the availability of open-source GIS technology, it now offers a great opportunity for governments and municipal authorities in developing countries to also implement GIS tools for their decision-making, without having to pay huge annual licensing costs to proprietary GIS vendors, and help improve the lives of some of the most poorest people by giving the geospatial tools to the municipal authorities. This will help in improving the living standards of the people and helping make sure they have the basic facilities for their needs as well. So it is with these aims the Geo4 community decided we had to do something, and we started. We are now working on something called Open City Smart, which I will introduce you a bit later. So how was Geo4 started? Whereas I think that we started from nothing really, humble, very humble beginnings. We started in this building, in 6 years back, and our aim was to build research and teaching infrastructure worldwide. And we had no funding. There was no funding. In fact, when I sent out an email to colleagues in 2010, I invited key organizations in the UK. So I invited people like the Association of Geographic Information, which are like the kind of the consortium of industry players in the UK in GIS, Ordnance Survey, the National Mapping Agency, the British Geological Survey, EDINA, and to my surprise, all of them turned up for the meeting, for the founding meeting, and that gave me the energy to start it. And luckily later, the University of Nottingham supported me. They gave me a couple of internships for students, and that was how we started very simply and very basically. But for me, the biggest strength was the amazing support I got from my colleagues and students here. It was unbelievable. It's just that just changed my without that I could not have done anything. So that was how we started. So why did we start it? And only one reason, and it is social responsibility. I fundamentally believe that if you make resources, including software and data, openly available, it just opens an amazing opportunities for everyone to share knowledge and to get this knowledge shared widely, and that increases learning opportunities and other educational opportunities for everyone. And there are many examples of this in Geo4, and I don't have time to go through each of them. But as I told before, I thought I will give you one example, and that is from the GBC Badovi initiative. And the reason I thought I'd give you this example is, the reason I thought to give you this is, it is an example from a developing country, and so it shows you how even if you have very limited resources, you are able to do this. GBC Badovi is an excellent example of a successful initiative in open principles in education, and helps us to understand why scalability and cost in sustainability is fundamental. There's a video of it as well, so if you want to look at the video, you should see that, just really see the impact of what is happening. But through this focus on open principles in education, colleagues at GBC Badovi, led by Sergio Lara and his great team across Uruguay, they are now providing high-quality spatial education technologies to students in all schools across Uruguay. And they have also another initiative called Plan CBAL, through which they can provide free laptops to all primary and secondary schools in the country, so that now truly they have the opportunity to reach every student, no matter they are rich or poor, with high quality teaching and learning tools. And for me, this is this is amazing. This is what we want to do. This is when I hear from all these colleagues of what they are doing, I get inspired, because this is exactly what we want to make sure every student gets this opportunity. And scalability is key for cost and sustainability, especially if you are thinking of national or global scale of expansion for providing high quality educational opportunities for all. The cost of hardware is getting lower, and it will keep decreasing. The cost of hardware will keep decreasing. The internet access is increasing. So even in developing countries, it is increasing. I can, I can see from even an example from India. It has been increasing. Really, it's not optimal, but still it's increasing, and it is going to increase. So if we can also provide free and open technologies, open data, open educational resources, it will be a big enabler for bridging the digital divide. So cost of software is one of the biggest stumbling blocks. So we have to do something, and we have to remove that artificial barrier, and then lots and lots of students globally are going to benefit. And we just cannot be silent on this. We have to do this. And another good example, actually from Europe, these are colleagues from the UNEP, the United Nations Environment Program's GRID program in Warsaw. I visited them 2 years back, and I was inspired by the work they have been doing. They are doing something called GIS at schools. It's actually it's not for students per se. It's actually for the teachers. So this whole work they have been doing is developing tutorials and learning materials for teaching materials for teachers. Not just geography teachers, science teachers, biology teachers, so that they can use like geotechnologies to show their importance in the particular areas. For example, climate change. If you are a teacher trying to teach climate change to your students, you can use these examples. You can use a map to convey in a much powerful way of deforestation, and all these examples. That's much more powerful. And all the materials they are making available is fully in Creative Commons license, available for everyone. So feel free to share this with your colleagues who are interested in in starting new courses in school level for helping students understand these resources. So this GIS at schools is a very, very valuable resource. And Ella from Poland, from the UNEP GRID, she has been doing. She and her colleagues. I was so much thankful. I'm so much thankful for their work. Because through this project, what they have been doing is helping not just in Poland but across the world. This will help a lot of teachers. Be able to teach their students all these technologies in the future. So we already have made huge impact from thousands of schools in countries like Uruguay to Spain, and thousands of universities worldwide are now benefiting from open principles in geo-education. And I also believe that ideas that start from nothing are very powerful actually, and keep expanding exponentially. The bigger aim is to also advance STEM education across the world and bring together schools, teachers, and students across the world in joint projects and help build international understanding and global peace. So we are very, very keen to build those communities. So that's why I kept my title as Building Bridges. We want the global community to come together for this. And I want to put one slide on the research aspect as well, because for those of you who are researchers, the ability for showing the application of general laws, operation of general laws is fundamental to scientific research. So that's why openness is fundamental for research as well. And for specifically for geospatial science, there is I would say a convergence that happened, a unique convergence of key developments that happened in the last decade, which was really critical for us to get us this momentum. And that was not just from the software side, but also from the data side, from top-down initiatives like, for example, in the UK, the open data, the data.gov.uk. So the governments are now pushing this. They are making sure data is made available to citizens so that it creates innovation opportunities. So there is like a top-level initiative going on, which is very, very, very good, and we really welcome it. And also there is like, bottom-up movements, like for those of you know, like OpenStreetMap. OpenStreetMap didn't exist, just 10 years old, but it has now over 1 million contributors. And I was just searching details of the for one of the papers I'm writing, and they have now, so it's amazing to see this transformation. So these are like volunteer geographic information. So and think of not just now, think in the next 10 years, when when we have a lot of digital natives, they are all empowered. That they will all be, volunteer geographic information. They will all be contributing to this and help us enrich, the whole ecosystem. And also standards are very important. And organizations like OGC for those in the geospatial field help us bring all these things together. So this is one perspective from the research as well. So what about our team now? We are over 100 research labs worldwide. Our largest number of labs are in country-wise is in the United States, And so much activity happening in the US. They are doing amazing work. They are starting new MOOC programs, which are now our colleagues in Geo Academy. Their MOOC program is benefiting thousands of students. Not only that, all the materials are available in GitHub for other educators to start reusing them, all in Creative Commons license. So it's a very it's an exponential kind of activities we are doing to make sure it's we share everything to make sure we build those synergies. And in region-wise, Europe is our biggest region, and we are now very confident by in the next 2-3 years we'll have more than 1,000 labs established and help expand these ideas globally as well. So who are we? It's a question. Who are we? And I thought to put some images to help you understand who are we. This was from a photo from 3 years back when we ran this conference in Nottingham for our post-4G. And this, we are very broad and different. Our colleagues are from all different organizations, from government organizations, academia, industry, startups, NGOs, teachers, students. So it's all these people coming together that make this happen. And we are a very global community, and we are very proud of it. We are a very diverse community. Even if you look at the websites of our labs, you can see the diversity. From the languages, the cultures. We are all different, but we are all united in this objective, and that brings us all together for this mission. And we have been, initially we were started by scientists and academics basically to build this strong foundation for open geospatial science. But we are the reason why we started was we wanted to create openness in geoeducation for developing creative and open minds in students, which is very critical for building open innovation. And for sharing open knowledge, which is important for the benefit of the whole society and for our future generation. So for us, it's all about learning and sharing. So this from Nottingham example, so we run workshops, and all the idea is that we try to make sure we share these ideas, we learn from each other, and together we are stronger. And we have very strong focus on the next generation. So we run these summer schools. This is one example from our colleagues in Spain, in the University of Girona. They have been doing it for 5-6 years. The Open GI summer school. This primarily aimed at PhD students from all disciplines. So from forestry to health sciences to agriculture. So this summer school, one week summer school brings together students from all these disciplines and teach, and introduce them to these technologies. But more importantly, we give them away the tools as well. So then they are fully empowered. They can start their own companies. They can start, their consultancy. They don't have to pay anybody anything. Or, that's our philosophy. We want to make sure they lead us. They are the people who are going to push this for the future. And we want to make sure they're fully empowered and they have the full capacity to do this for the future as well. And in Nottingham, we have been also doing it for expanding this for teaching government organizations through workshops. We want to make sure governments also start. It's also important. Taxpayers' money is precious and it should not be wasted. So that's very important that now UK has a policy on open source, open standards, open data action plan. So it's very a lot of activities happening, and it's actually now saving. I didn't put that slides there, but I can send you the slides on that where the cost savings are mentioned. Once this the open principles have been implemented within the UK government department. So that's again another talk. But there is a lot of I'm also involved in that area as well, because I am very keen to make sure that that taxpayers' money is spent wisely, and that has been invested. Not on buying proprietary software, but invested in other important things like healthcare or education and improving all these things. So that's another part. And we are very multidisciplinary. So if you look at our labs websites, you will see examples from our colleagues from agriculture science to geodesy to geomatics to civil engineering. So because mapping and technology, mapping and geospatial science is very broad. So we are very, very multidisciplinary as well, and we are proud of that fact. And one thing that unites us, when I look at all our colleagues globally, we are all passionate about research and education. So it doesn't matter which country you're from, which language you speak. It doesn't matter. We all have that same passion to teach and learn and share this fantastic technologies with other people as well. So that's what that unites us. Unites us all. So now I want to give you one example. Again, I send the video of this to Teresa, and you can see the video of it. But this one example, remember the example I told you, why we need these tools for empowering, especially the urban citizens in developing countries. And to do that, we started an initiative. Again, we did not have any funding. Just joining together, good people together, we started an initiative called Open City Smart, the open platform for smart cities. And you can watch the video link that Teresa put. But this is again thanks to colleagues Patrick Hogan from NASA and Chris Pettit from the University of South Wales in Australia, and a great team of amazing colleagues, volunteers globally, who are all working in this initiative called Open City Smart. Open City Smart builds and uses open solutions to build richer toolboxes that empower organizations and people around the globe to handle spatial and also non-spatial data. We believe this will create innovation opportunities globally and locally. And you can find those details, and if you're interested, the video will give you more ideas of what we are doing with that. And also, thanks to, again, many of our colleagues globally, we have now dedicated research labs and also dedicated journals, which are now in place to advance our open geospatial science for the future. It is this global research outlook that is fundamental to the success of any disciplines, and we are very, very keen that we maintain that global outlook. So it's now time for us to think and plan actions for the future, and it is important that we bring together ideas and inputs from the wider community and harness the wisdom to help shape our vision for open geospatial science for 2030 and future. And we want to do that by building synergies with the three goals of the European Union's research and innovation policy, that are the open innovation, open science, and open to the world. So that's what we are doing in that the whole. So we are now harnessing ideas to bring this the vision for 2030 in synergies with the United Nations SDG goals as well. So I want to highlight one important fact, especially for those of you who are scientists. Science is not a black box. Okay, the toolkits have to be open, and it has to be built upon. So transparency is fundamental to scientific research and advancement. So this is exactly what we have. Our colleagues are all working on. And the societal challenges we face are all multidisciplinary in nature. So whichever challenge you face, from the agriculture example I told you, from the Godan, if you want to feed 800 million people, or if you want to give good quality of life to our again millions of families across the world living in very, very poor conditions in urban slums. These are all multidisciplinary challenges, and we cannot have silo mentalities. We need to bring together people, and a network approach is essential to bring expert researchers, scientists, stakeholders together to solve these problems. And for us, for our Vision 2030, there are three fundamental things. The transparency of research is fundamental, and so there should be no black boxes or proprietary barriers, artificial barriers, for advancement of science. And geospatial science should be fully built on open principles. And we believe geospatial science should be open geospatial science. That's what we want to work on, and we want to align with other synergic activities like the European Commission's policy on open innovation, open science, open to the world, and also to the United Nations SDGs. Together, I'm very confident we will be able to do this, because when I see how we started with nothing, and that's why I told this word which I learned actually called serendipity. It's unbelievable when a group of people come together on a common objective. So many amazing things happen. So why open geospatial science? And there are lots and lot of examples, and hopefully you all got some ideas of what from my presentation, from the examples I gave you before. But again, from a government perspective, from not just from the European governments and European Commission, but also governments worldwide, they are all constantly seeking a greater return on their investment in research. And part of the answer is to ensure the better reuse of data, software, and technology between research programs, broader cross-disciplinary and institutional participation in major research projects, and more frequent and rapid uptake of research results by startups, SMEs, industries, and government. And open geospatial science, I believe, will fundamentally help in empowering staff and students, and also build capacities in poor countries, developing countries. And more importantly, it develops creative and open minds in students. And this is very critical for if you want open innovation for future. We need to make sure our students have that open mind. And it fundamentally, and that's what we are all about. It contributes to building up open knowledge for the benefit of the whole society and for our future generations. So one of my fundamental beliefs is that access to quality education opportunities is everyone's birthright. It doesn't matter where you are born. You have the right for education, and quality education is everyone's birthright. All right. And so to do that, and now we have opportunity to do that. And for me, technology is a big leveler. So we should not put artificial barriers, high cost proprietary barriers on because now we have a truly great opportunity, because with falling hardware costs, increasing software, increasing internet penetration, we now truly have an opportunity to provide quality education opportunities for everyone. And I've seen this, each time I go to India, I visit some of the poorest schools, all right? And it's amazing. Even in one of the schools I went 3 years back, they had just 3-4 computers, and now they don't have proper library or anything. But these 3-4 computers, all running open source software, connected to the internet. Now the students are accessing Wikipedia. It's amazing how when I saw this, I just thought, look, I need to do something. We truly can give some opportunities to these. We can open the doors for all these students, not just in one place, but globally. If you all think broadly, and we can all come together, it's truly possible. And I truly believe in just 10 years' time, if you want to do it, we can do it. We can we can provide these opportunities, and with all these amazing technologies out there, it's just that willpower and coming together of good people that will make this happen. And that's why I gave you the example from Uruguay to show you that this is not like you need big funding or anything. It is just some good people coming together with good ideas. We can do it. And I want to thank again my colleagues across the world. Even though I presented it, all the work I presented is actually my colleagues' amazing work they have been doing. So it's unbelievable the work that they all have been doing, and we are all working on this bigger aim to eradicate extreme poverty and enable shared prosperity of all. And we need, I really hope the open education community will join us for this, because we really need you. And as I told you in the beginning, the synergies of joining minds and communities on a common mission make the seemingly impossible possible. And I can tell you, because when I started Geo4All without any funding, initially we were laughed at, because some people thought if you don't have any funding, nothing is going to happen. But again, it's it's just when you it's that joy, it's something like that serendipity word. It's unbelievable. But sometimes things happen. Even if you don't have funding or anything else, if you get if you just start doing it, it's like there is a saying that if you have to have faith, and you have to just jump, and the net will the net will come below you. So it's like you have to have a faith and do things. It doesn't matter if you have funding or not. You just start doing it, and that's what we are doing it. And hopefully, I really hope more and more colleagues will start building ideas for this. So again, thanks again for your for listening to me, and for giving me this opportunity to share these ideas with you all today.
Wow, Suchith,
if you have any questions,
so inspired us.
Feel free to ask me. Thank you.
There is a little storm going on Twitter at the moment, and I've seen from colleagues' reactions in the chat. We are just so overwhelmed by your passion and your enthusiasm that it's contagious, which is wonderful. Thank you so much for giving us so much to think about and so much to inspire us. There have been a few questions in the chat. I'm going to come back to those now. And I'll start with a question that came from Therese Bird, who's very experienced in the open community. and she's particularly now involved in pharmacology and medicine. So she asks, has Geo4All encountered any setbacks from institutions or bodies, entities who perhaps felt threatened by the work and by the philosophy?
Yes, it's interesting because there was a lot of initially very we faced a lot of difficulties, especially from some big proprietary vendors, GIS vendors, and so for me, when I think about it, I believe everyone has a place in the world. It's not just so so it's like we have to. We have to provide opportunities for everyone. We cannot just create artificial barriers. In the example I told you, when I see these students in India, or some of these tourist schools, why should someone create artificial barriers for them to it's not like a real barrier, it's an artificial barrier. If you hardware cost I can understand. If the cost for making hardware, there is a cost to it. Cost for internet connectivity, there is a cost to it, but software cost is it's exaggerated. The cost of replicating software is technically zero. So you are artificially it's like an artificial barrier. So for me, when I think about it, even though we faced a lot of difficulties, that's why I always think it's we didn't have funding and we faced a lot of difficulties. So we came through all this. So. It was a difficult journey. There were a lot of times. I was. Even though when thinking back, I can basically, we have hundreds of labs and all these things happening. There was lots of difficulty. But for me, the biggest strength was my colleagues globally. That without that I would not have done anything. For example, everything. When we wanted a website, I sent an email out, and colleagues from University of Southampton, they set up the website for us. When we wanted webinars, it was colleagues from the University of Denver in the USA. They are running the webinars for us. Our newsletters are run by our colleagues in Greece. So it's all these distributed kind of activities. So so what I will tell is there might be big vendor interest who want to stop this, but I am very confident. It's very, something which you do for global good. It will keep going. However big and powerful, the vendors are. I really hope they will understand this, and they will also try to, help us, or at least, not try to stop us. That's my request to all of them. Please don't try to stop us. We are, what is the point? When I see these, students in the small schools, what does anyone gain from, stopping the, get this access to, they don't have, the example I told you, they don't have access to, till now they don't have access to anything, no proper library. The school I went to, they didn't have access to even a proper library, so, now for the first time, with these 3 computers, they are getting access to Wikipedia, and immediately. And I remember one question I was asked by one of the students. Okay, she was my son's age now. So she asked me this question. I was actually telling them about the importance of education and in moving forward. Because one of the things I always remember is, even like 10 years back when I used to go to these schools, I used to think in my head, how I see amazing students, huge potential, but I used to think, how many of them will go for higher studies, or even go for jobs, not because of their fault, because of the circumstances. So they don't have access to basic things. So so there is very little they can achieve. But when I saw this school in 2010, that time, with these 3 computers, having access to this Wikipedia and all those ideas, that was the time when I realized, this is going to fundamentally change if we can work on this. And the question that student asked me was, if I translate it, it is like, will this be always available to us? That was one of the hardest questions I have been to a lot of conferences, a lot of events, but that question I remember when she asked me, I looked at her and, I was looking at her and, because you had to first put yourself into their shoes, so these students, they are for the first time, they are seeing an opportunity. They are seeing, they are seeing this amazing kind of magic window. And for now, their biggest fear is, will this be taken away from them? And I told her straight away, look, you don't have to worry about it, because this is not just, there are thousands of people globally who are fighting for you. So you can be assured that, this will be available for you for future. And I still remember her smile. So it's important we all join together. Don't worry about big vendors trying to stop you or whoever. But we have a moral responsibility, because these people, these students don't have a voice in the system. Okay, so they are the people who desperately need this, and they don't have a voice in the system. So I and people like you are their voice. So I got, as I told you, I got an opportunity to learn this by pure chance. So it's now my duty, so I will do everything in my power to make sure I do that.
That's just amazing, and you're so inspiring. I love this idea of distributed cooperation, and the fact that, individuals, we have this sort of mindset that is that there's going to be a project, with the project comes funding, with the funding comes a hierarchy, and then things happen in a kind of an enclosed but logical and listed way with sets of outputs, and I've been involved in lots of projects like that. What I love about this is the connectedness and the fact, and I've seen it both in the Open Badge conference that we did and in other aspects of work that I've done voluntarily, where serendipitous connections, in my case through Twitter, came about, and everybody just says, well, I'll do that bit for you, and I'll do that bit for you. And I love the humility of your approach, Suchith, as well, where you're acknowledging that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, that we all have a little bit and a part to play here. And just to sort of highlight a comment that came up in the chat from Lucy, who says there's no question that the demand for open education and open source exists, but as one individual, how can I still contribute, excuse me, and still support myself? Because many of us get involved in these sort of endeavors without any pay. So yeah, I can see that dilemma, but I think what I can see happening is that you can put in what you're willing to put in. And if everybody does that, it is possible to achieve something even as enormous as you have achieved here, something global and something huge. It's kind of, I suppose if we think of the analogy of the ant, if we have lots of little worker ants doing their bit, you can make a huge termite mound, or you can achieve a great deal. It's this aspect as well that came through in your presentation of mutual support, because sometimes it can feel, for those of us in research-intensive universities who don't have the vision that Nottingham has shown here, it can feel as though you're battling huge sort of sets of interests who just don't get it. I was quite inspired, and I tweeted yesterday about the launch of the Open Models book that has just come out. And I think if we've got greater collaboration and cooperation across the open community, all things open, as you have pointed out, open source, open standards, OER, open data, all of these things together, we have this open word in common. So let's not silo ourselves, let's connect and share our support across the board. Really inspiring and absolutely wonderful. I think that your talk has been so comprehensive. We don't have a lot of questions in the chat, but we do have lots of reaction, and I'm sure we're going to have lots of reaction to this recording as well. And I'm really grateful to you for your time. We have just 5 minutes left, so if anybody has any further questions, please pop them in the chat, or feel free to just raise a hand if you want me to pass the mic to you so you can speak to Suchith directly. There's a little reminder here of the Association for Learning Technology, who have provided us with an online space for the Open Education Special Interest Group and support what we do in that way. And I have been tweeting using the hashtag OpenEdSig. So if you are on Twitter and you want to revisit that, I will do a little storify for today's event as well to pull the messages together, because you've provided us with some great media too, Suchith, with the videos and the various screenshots along the way. So I'm just going to open the floor, as open is the key word. So if anybody would like to ask a question or speak to Suchith directly. I'm so in awe of Suchith because, oh, thank you, Lucy. It's great to have you here, and I hope you'll participate and join and continue this conversation and find things that you're happy to join in with. I speak French and Spanish, but I know just how daunting it is to make presentations in a language other than your own. And you have been totally awe-inspiring in your presentation in your second language. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
I'm doing my best. I'm trying learning every day.
Well, look, you have so many Indian languages as well, so
Yes.
we wouldn't know where to start. So I'm grateful that you've learnt English and you've shared through that medium today. Thank you so much, and I can see all your expressions of thanks coming in through the chat. I'm going to add some applause there from the emoticons. And I think we all want to give you a really big hand. So thank you so much for starting our OpenEdSig webinar series in such a passionate and impassioned way. Chaka, let me just pass you a mic so you can speak to us if you'd like to. There we go. So if you press the talk button now, you should be able to speak to us, Chaka, if you'd like to.
No, thank you. That was a mistake, actually.
Great. Okay, thank you. Thanks very much. Thanks all for your responses. I'm going to switch the recording off now so that we can make the recording available as soon as possible, and we'll be sharing that widely. Thank you so much, Suchith, for your time, your energy and your passion. All beautifully done. And don't forget to join us on the OpenEdSig site, which Therese has just shared for us there as well in the chat.
I will. Thank you all for